Yeah, they're still blooming. The yellow meadow flowers. That in and of itself is rather amazing, considering the heat wave of the last 3 weeks. And it does appear that going forward, this is Sunday, June the 26th, 2022, the heat wave continues for as far as the forecast will show us. But we had a special gift yesterday, one we hadn't seen in quite some time, over 10 days. And that was, we were blessed with some rain. For in the later afternoon hours, sometimes around 4, yeah, we got one of those summer pop-up showers that lasted pretty much around an hour. And watered not only our place, but those surrounding us, with 6/10 of an inch of blessed rainfall. And I can tell you, as soon as it dissipated, you could almost hear the cheers from the plants and the wildlife too. Not to mention the temperature fell off from 93.9 to 79. That was quite special too. But yeah, it's Sunday. And as we normally try to do, we take a walkabout and share a garden update with you. So yeah, let's take a walk and see what's up in our little piece of paradise in the deep south of Alabama. Okay? Mr. Gray, you gonna come along? Mr. Gray, you coming? Where's the rest of the crew? They're over eating breakfast? Okay. Well, let's go. Uh-oh. I showed them. Yeah, we said we wouldn't have shorts on. But we do. Just act like you didn't see that. Okay, guys and girls? Yeah. But we'll start our day over here at the pot of clay. And people may wonder, what's in our pot of clay? Well, currently there are 3. I think they're called heart of gold. Well, I know they are. Heart of gold cantaloupe plants that we started from seed from the good people at Burpee. Now look there. There's a centipede. Yeah, I think it's a newborn. It appears to be a youngin'. We'll leave it be. Oh, that leaf got a little bit tore up in the breeze yesterday. But it'll be okay. Now I actually did plant some leftover Waltham butternut squash. I think a pumpkin seed or 2 in here too. Since yeah, this has sort of become a nursery pot. Since also in this pot was what we have over here transferred into these. And within each one of these, well, there's 2. There's 3. Actually, the smaller one came up after I transplanted the 2 larger. Here's 2 more, looking fine. They're all working on their 3rd leaf. Yeah, they'll be ready to put in the ground. In fact, they are ready to be put in the ground come tomorrow. And here's 2 more. I'm still undecided as to where to put them, but I'm thinking about putting them over there. Oh, a foot or 2 from the property line fence. And of course we got our bell peppers here. We got 3 of them in that there first row, 3 in the second, And there has been blossoms up under there. Now I have not spied any. Oh, I said that, and I think I may have been wrong. No, not quite. But it won't be long before there'll be some green bell peppers on these plants. And here's a little garden secret. Did you know that when green bell peppers ripen, they primarily become red? But I've grown peppers, green peppers before, and been happily surprised that some would ripen to red, some to orange, and some even to yellow. And all they said on the pack was green bell peppers. That's just an interesting fact. If you let yours ripen, you may be pleasantly surprised too. But the pepper plants are looking fine. We got 6 of them right here. We'll have more bell peppers than we ever needed. Yeah, we got a couple of chives. Looks like we still got 3 holding on in the old pot that's about to fall apart that we've had for 20 plus years. And we just keep pushing it. We keep saying we'll replace it every year, and we don't. The gypsy sweet peppers are continuing to grow. Looking mighty fine. Plant's got new growth and more potential blossoms there. The second gypsy bell pepper, as you can see up here, the one that looks funky and is all mottled, yeah, it don't look like it's going to pull out of it. And after refreshing my mind of what that could possibly be, I mean, the latest craze or circumstance here on YouTube in the gardening community is, yep, they buy compost. Compost is contaminated with herbicide, and herbicide will do something similar to this right here. Yeah, and that would be a possibility. Ever so slight for me, since one, I don't purchase compost. No. Not saying that's a bad thing, I just don't. I make my own, as I've showed you. I have bought some pot mix this year, but the chance of that being contaminated with Grazon or WD or some other type of herbicide is rather slim to probably not going to happen, since it's a peat-based potting mix, not a compost. What this is, and I'm pretty sure of now, after thinking on it and reinforcing my thoughts, this is mosaic virus. Yeah, and mosaic virus will infect peppers, tomatoes, squash, yeah, beans, and many vegetables. It's sort of an indiscriminate virus. Yeah, and I'm thinking that's exactly what we have here. I've treated it, and it hasn't gotten any better. The new growth is still coming out quite mottled, as you can see. So I'm thinking this one will meet its end here this afternoon or tomorrow. And how you get mosaic virus? Well, you get it from aphids. Yep, it's transmitted by aphids. And that was a great possibility, since I have sprayed for aphids once this year that I was seeing, and I showed you on my tomatoes, and I'm probably pretty sure they were over here on the peppers too, since they just, like everything else, seem to love peppers. You know, slugs, they love them. Everything loves these little soft, succulent leaves of pepper plants, or so it appears. The zucchini is growing right along. Shows no deficiency anymore. And it's starting to put on baby squashes. Yep, let's go on in here. You're gonna see one. See one right there? Yep, there's one. There's actually another one right there. Yep. And others. And if this zucchini proves to be like most, we'll have more zucchinis from this one plant than one little old man can come up with a way to consume. Yeah, it's looking fine. It's about 3 feet or more across. But here in front of us, you'll see some seed packs. And these weren't bought. These we did. And these are for our, I would say, our midsummer planting for into the fall. So what do we have? Well, in here, we planted some hass, that's hass seeds, table ace squash. It's a winter squash. Not because you grow it in the winter, because you grow it to store through the winter and the spring till your other crops arrive. Yeah, and then we got some sugar pie pumpkins right there. Over here with some hass tools, Waltham butternut seed we stuck in. Now the sugar pie was old seed from a survival gardening pack we bought back in 2017. But the hass tool seed we purchased in 2020. You know, when everybody was saying, whew, there would be no more garden seed. Well, yeah, seed runs out from time to time, different varieties and what have you. But I didn't see no shortages to amount to much in 2021 or this spring either. Seemed to be plenty of seed. And like I say, very popular varieties. Yeah, you'll see shortages of those. That's true. Now over here in this little 4-pack, you'll see some tiny, tiny plants. And what might those be? Well, those are tomato plants. And what they are is called small cherry basket tomatoes. Yeah, they're a cherry tomato. And the seed was sent to me by our viewer out there. Yeah, and I would love to be able to remember just who sent them. Now, I didn't write it down because the packet was small. Plenty of seeds in it. And I was a little worried that they might not germinate. So I got a little bit carried away here with how many are in each of these cells in this 4-pack. But for my surprise, it would appear the germination rate was rather high. And you'll get to see how these grow out. I'm thinking about putting them in hanging baskets. What do y'all think? Yeah, maybe a couple of hanging baskets, letting them trail down. And I'm sure I'll find some places to stick some more in the ground. Yeah. And we've got our 3 cantaloupes over here. One there, one in the middle, and one on the far end coming along too. Now we put them in because we had the seed, and we figured we'd let them trail out of the back of this here raised bed. See how they do. And maybe we can give away or sell at a highly discounted price some cantaloupes in the late summer here. And of course we got our black cherry tomato right there. Stuck a little bit of support around her. And we've got today find the time to drive some posts and weave around our peppers and give them support. And that wind at times got a little brisk yesterday and got me worried. Might blow them over or break them off. So we got to take care of that. It's past due. But we got some posts right there. And we'll get her done sometime today for sure. Oh, and so that's about pretty much what's going on in the little old raised bed. You can grow a lot of food in a 4x8 raised bed, especially if you continue it throughout the growing season. And we're up here at the old clothesline pole plant. And something I want to note, because it has been, you know, extremely hot, heat wave, and lack of rain, you can see right here. You can see a path from the water spigot, comes up here, that goes around the bean plant. See it? I think it's pretty notable. Yeah. Comes around here and goes all the way around this here planting area. Now you might wonder what that's from. Well, that's from this little old man. Every morning he comes out. He grabs his watering can and he fills it up. And each one of these tomato plantings will get 1 gallon of water in the mornings. And then if they're looking a little droopy and sad, I'll give them another gallon in the midday. Not on them, at the root base. Yep. And then again, I may come a third time in the early evening hours after the sun has gone down below the trees to give them another little drink to put them to bed and let them go to sleep. But yeah, the tomatoes, they are looking fine. They really are. There are so many blossoms in there. If you look, they just seem to be everywhere. And of course I come along and give them a little tickle as I water each morning. For good measure, I'll give them a little tickle a time or two a day. Never can tickle too much. But yeah, they're looking really nice. And I'd been worried that because of this heat, they weren't gonna, you know, set any fruit, which is problematic. Temperatures above 85, tomatoes tend to start, you know, not setting fruit. As the temperatures rise even higher, they'll drop blossoms, as will most veggies. But I hadn't seen a whole lot of that with this particular variety. Which, thinking about it, I've been growing most years now for over 40 years. And most of you will know this variety. And it's a hybrid, I admit. But in a few years, it will be able to be considered to be an heirloom. Yeah, that's right. For that designation, you've got to be 50 years of growing. And I'll tell you the honest truth, I've saved celebrity seed from my own plants. And I have restarted them. And I couldn't tell a bit of difference. So yeah, I think this is now, what, 44 years? Maybe it's 47 since these were introduced. I remember when my father first put them in the ground. And they were always a winner for him and his main season, main crop tomatoes. Yeah, a lot of disease resistance. Yeah, good production. Now they don't make those one slice tomato sandwich type tomatoes. These are baseball size. Yeah, not softball and bigger. But hey, if I got to put more than a couple of slices of tomato on my sandwich to have me a tomato sandwich, that'd be okay too. It never really has concerned me. But like I say, the thing that was concerning me was, up until the other day, when I was out here, as I do, a couple times a day or more, checking my plants, doing the watering, looking for pests and disease, I came across a great sight, and I'm seeing more of it right in front of me now. Right there. There's a tomato. That's a smaller one. Now I'm thinking it's got a couple more there that may actually form. Now you can see right here where one of the blossoms dropped. Yep. And I've seen that here on these plants. Not all, but some. The blossoms have dropped away, and you can see just how many there are on this particular plant, and all up in here. And I'm seeing some others that are making small tomatoes. There's a baby up in there too. Some more are on the way. And for me, that's exceptional news, considering the excessive temperatures we've been in. At the very least, in the lower 90s, most of the time, mid 90s to high 90s, and we've actually hit a 100-degree day. So for these to have any fruit on them is simply amazing. Now I've got to get these strung up again, add the third string later today or tomorrow morning. It all depends on how much I get done. But this was the first tomato I saw just the other day. Look at that. Look at that jewel. And you'll see there's now another one right behind it too. Now I don't go digging through them to find every last one. So far, I know I've got at least 3. I'm seeing other small ones too. And I'm thinking that all comes from the strength of this variety. Yep, like I say, it's a hybrid. I don't mind. See, a hybrid's not anywhere near or like a GMO. No, hybrids are created by people cross-pollinating different plants to come up with a new variety. And sometimes, like what happened with my beans, it happens all naturally on its own too. Yeah. Just like the year I was growing Kentucky Wonder, rattlesnake pole beans, blue holiday, and I think emerald. And I saved seed from the rattlesnake pole beans. Except the next year, they weren't quite like they were the year before. Yeah, they had cross-pollinated and formed a new variety. Now I'm thinking it was between the Kentucky Wonder and the rattlesnake. Now, I know the rattlesnake was involved because some of the pods will still have the stripes, some will not. Some of the bean seeds inside will have stripes, some won't. So I'm thinking those two crossed, but it could have been some of the emerald and the bloom holiday too. Who knows? But considering everything these tomatoes have come through the last few weeks, heat wave, drought, now I'm pretty proud of them. Maybe you are too. Maybe yours are doing fine. And these are cross-pollinated, now hybrid pole beans. Kentucky Wonder, rattlesnake cross, I call them. And yeah, they've suffered a few problems with the drought and intense heat. They're getting some leaf scorching from time to time. You can see remnants of it down here. And some more here. Yeah. And that's been with them being watered twice a day, every day. Now hey, since we got that nice rain last evening, I didn't water this morning. I got a day off. But I'm thinking this afternoon, during the highest of the heat, we'll be back at it, I'm sure. But the beans are looking fine. And they've already grown to the top of those 8-foot posts and are meandering around looking for more poles to grow. But I'm not seeing any flowering or blossoms on these yet. Soon, I'm thinking. But overall, this plant is looking nice, and I'm thankful. As of now, I see no pest pressure. You know, I had a little. I had some worms descend, but they're gone now. Disease pressure, I haven't seen. Though I have treated them back again this past Wednesday with my H2O2 and water spray that I've been using now for years and years and years, just in case I didn't see something. But I'm not losing any leaves so far. And down here by the house on the east side, our okra's doing okay. Getting some new growth as well. Slow growing, but this is a shadier spot, and this was more of a experiment to see, considering the blazing sun causing everything to droop and wilt. You know, could okra grow in a more shadier place? And these are growing, albeit, I'll admit, slower. Now you'll see underneath them some new sprouts coming up right here. And they're not what this sign says. This says green okra. The okra's Clemson spineless. And these right here are pickle bush cucumbers from Haas Tools. And for the most part, they've had a good germination. I do got some gaps there. I've got some bug damage there. If I had to guess, this right here, especially when you look on the back of the leaves and see the little bitty chew marks, yep, that's my roly-polies. They love new seedlings. If you don't think so, come out in the evening and watch them. They love newly popped up seedlings. You know, primarily they eat decayed plant matter, except when they got a fresh young seedling to munch on. And you can look all that up for yourself. Yeah, and that's a good thing. Make sure old Mr. Tom ain't steering you wrong. But this little bed, just made out of 2 old landscape timbers, yeah, is doing fine. And the cucumbers will come up and will grow on our trellis. The okra doesn't need it, but the cucumbers will love it. Now I need more cucumbers. Like I need a hole in the head, because they all start to bear fruit. Ooh, I'm gonna have plenty again. Oh, I see him. I see him. He's working. They finally found my cucumbers. Oh, you see him too. Yep, it's Mr. Bumble. He's working those cucumber blossoms. Oh, I'm so thankful and glad he found them, because I've been worried. Because it's really, you know, with this heat, even though we had all those honeybees all over the hollies this spring, since the heat is turned up high with the drought and everything, honeybees been slim to none, and bumbles as well. See, there's my friend right there buzzing. He said hi. I don't know if you heard him. Yeah, we always have the bumbles, but I hadn't seen them on the cucumbers. You know, especially up front, the leaves tend to hide the blossoms. But these are a more open habit. And finally they found them. Hopefully they found the front ones too. But yeah, these are the Bonnie burpless hybrid cucumbers. And they haven't been stuck over here all that long. And I think this is now week 3 since they went in the ground. And they're going to make me work again. They've already reached the top of their trellis, which is almost 6 feet high. So we're going to have to weave some more higher in the sky. Yep. But it'll be okay. And now that I'm seeing the bumbles, I'm thinking we'll be okay. And people will be receiving, or at least offered, cucumbers for this summer. Ooh, nothing better than a chilled cucumber, sliced up. Ooh, just a touch of salt. You gotta be careful with that salt when you get older. Yep. Now all the blossoms I'm seeing on these particular cucumbers at the moment are male. But that's the way it always starts out. And like I say, I truly, now over all the years of my gardening and pondering it and observations, I'm believing that's to bring in the pollinators. But something else you got to understand about pollinators, we'll let the car pass. Rather noisy. You see them right there? Yeah, another pollinator. Ants. Yes, they are. Just like you saw. The ants were well, they were gathering pollen as a food source. You can see them on in there. Just in case you didn't know. You see, that's where observation comes in. You know, I didn't know ants were beneficial pollinators too. So I started paying more attention in the garden. And now I understand they are. Because they'll travel from flower to flower just like a bee. And that's how the bees pollinate. Something special they do. It's just the pollen from the male flowers is brushed on by their work habits onto the female. And there you have a baby fruit that forms. And as always, remember, once the blossoms close up and are finished for the day, they make tasty treats. And still, if you're not munching on them, granted, don't let them get dry, you'll be quite surprised what a burst of flavor they actually are. But yeah, this plant is looking fine too. And the bumble has worked it for its pollen. And the bees are, you know. And the ants are coming in behind. Maybe they're on cleanup detail. Who knows? Okay, Spooky. You chilling underneath the bird bath? You are. You're not trying to eat birds, are you? You know, we've had that discussion again. You eat birds, no chicken tenders. Okay? You hear me, right? Okay. Yeah, I've had a talk with them. Well, at least they're not laying under the feeders. Of course, knowing Spooky and his sister, Speedy, they've changed tactics. Went to the bird bath. And the fig's doing fine. Plenty of figs coming on. Yep. Now, I checked the moisture content underneath this mulch this Wednesday, and this had not been watered at all this year. It got that 4/10 of rainfall on the 15th that evening, and that's it. But this past Wednesday, it too was showing signs of being too dry, even though I put this mulch on it, you know, grass clippings and leaves, which was 8 to 10 inches thick. Now it's anywhere at best 3 to 4 inches thick. You know, things compress. But I dug down and the soil was cool and wasn't wet, but slightly damp. So I did decide to water this in. And that's one thing to remember. Big trees, their roots are very shallow. They're right below the surface. So it's not like you got to stand here for hours flooding it. But we'll look now. And even though we got 6/10 of rain yesterday, late afternoon, like I say, started around 4, you can see, yeah, it's damp down here. Yep. And the sandy loam will just try to hold its shape. So that's how dry things have become. But the soil's nice and cool. Cooler than what's out in that blazing sun, which has come out behind the clouds. And this mulch is conserving moisture. Now if we can get that same ½ inch or inch every 3 to 4 days, it'd be just about perfect. But we're just grateful with what we got. And I've already seen the figs start to plump up more just from what we got yesterday. Yep, and my birds, they're waiting on these too. The mockingbirds, the blue jays, and the cardinals too. Yeah, they're all fig lovers. But surprisingly, they're not all blueberry lovers. Now the jays like blueberries, and so do the mockingbirds. But I've yet to see a cardinal swoop down and grab a blueberry. Blueberries are just doing amazing. Yep, way more than I can eat. But the birds get their share. We get ours. And that rain, these are starting to get dry again. And I had also watered them midweek to replenish their bed. But they were needing it again when I looked. Oh, yesterday midday, and I said I would that evening, and then the rains came. But yep, they're still loaded up. And like I say, we'll be picking these for the remainder of June, most likely throughout most of July, and possibly into August too. And as you know, Spooky likes berries, blackberries, dewberries, and blueberries. Yep, I've caught them plucking them off these lower branches too. But I've yet to get them on camera. My little buddy. Yeah, if you thought it was just Mr. Gray following me, you'd have been wrong. Spooky's been there too. No, he was once he woke up. Whew, it's getting hot now, isn't it? Spooky, especially out in this sun. It just starts burning you. And I don't mean it takes much time. But the blueberries, they're doing fine. I'm ever so grateful. And as you can see now, you can probably hear in the distance, church is cranked up for the Sunday morning service. And the sun's cranked up on the south side driveway bed. The sun starts to hit it, starting at this end first. Yeah, right around 9 to 10. Yeah, a few orphan bean seed we threw around the antenna post. They're still, they're there. But you know, there's marginal sunlight, and of course then there's the heat. And they haven't done much like the others. Same variety, Kentucky Wonder Rattlesnake Cross, but they're just barely surviving here. I just wanted to see if there was enough light here to get them to grow and come up this here pole. It's not looking too promising. Our other bean here that we've constantly tried to get to climb up this post, it's just not a climber. It's more of a, ground crawler, I might say. Oh. But here in our first yellow crookneck squash, and y'all saw as we showed you how we hand pollinate our squash. We did showed that on video just a day or two ago. So we hand pollinated this one, and we let nature take its course over on this one. Now, I wanted to see here again if pollinators were stopping by just when I couldn't be there right at the time they made their visit. Even though I'm out here quite often, you're not going to catch everything. So we'll see. Did one of the bumbles come by and help me out? Maybe it was a wasp or some ants. We'll have to see. But this one's growing and getting larger, as you can see. Nope, there's another blossom. Fell off during the night. Yeah, well, that one's a little bit too far gone to be a snack. But yeah, there's more fruit coming on. Right there's a small squash, another one there. So even during this extreme heat, and I know because I watch so many gardening channels, and in the years I wasn't gardening, I watched even more. You know, people like Gary Pillarcheck, The Rustic Garden, Jess and Maya, Roots and Refuge, Danny and Wanda, Deep South Homestead, Epic Gardening with Kevin. Yep, and there's just so many more. And yeah, you'll hear them say, you know, when the temperature gets up above a certain temp, that's normally the ceiling's 85, pretty much veggies shut down. They lose their blossoms, dropping them. Pollination drops either way off or stops as the temperature rises. And you know, I was thinking, especially this year, because this is the hottest and extremest it's been since I restarted gardening back in 2018, that yeah, pretty much I was just growing plants and helping them to survive. I wasn't going to get much out of it. But now, and I mean last week was brutal. I mean, we were mid to high 90s to 100 all week long. Well, except for the 100, we've been that way now for over 3 weeks. But as you saw, we've got some tomatoes, which many will tell you it shouldn't happen. But here again, it gets back to variety. And then I'll tell you something I've told others. Yeah, a lot of it depends on your nighttime temperatures too. If indeed your nighttime temperatures get above 85 too, yeah, you're going to need a miracle to get some pollination and some fruit set. You're going to have to do it yourself. Even then, the pollen may not be viable. But that's another observation I've made over the years, that as long as the nighttime temperatures were 85 or below, you get some pollination. And I've seen that every year here as well. But here we've got another celebrity tomato, and it's, you know, rather tall. It's about chest high. And the reason being, this particular area doesn't get a whole lot of sun. Like I say, it don't see sun to probably 9:30, 10 o'clock till about 3 o'clock. And now it gets some shading just from the massive cauliflower plant. Well, not cauliflower, but cucumber. Can't talk or think this morning. Yeah, because the sun arches over like that. So this will actually, these cucumbers will start to shade the beans, my second crookneck yellow squash, the tomato, this first crookneck squash, and so have you. But in our last garden walkabout, I told you, yeah, it's got blossoms, but they've never flowered. Well, over the course of this week, I guess it heard me talking bad about it, and she decided to put out. See right here? These have opened up. Yes, they have. So we're going to give them a little tickle and a little wiggle, and maybe they'll set fruit too. But I've seen more blossoms start to form. Oh, there's one right up in there. So as you can see, in a week's time, it went from, yeah, it had blossoms, but none had opened, and none were actually developing. They just look small and tiny, like this very first one right down here. It's never going to amount to nothing. Now that I say that, it may, and you'll see some more tiny ones right up here. But we will see. But that's hopeful. Now it's got 2 frocks of blossoms there that are opening up and blooming. Then we gave them a little tickle and a wiggle, and we'll just have to see. These pole beans, they're surviving, and they too have reached the end of their poles. And we're not going to continue them on. So where they'll go from here, we'll just have to see. As they continue to grow and flail in the air far above. But here again, I haven't seen the first bloom or blossom. So I just keep them alive. Here again, they get watered in the mornings. And if they get to looking real droopy and curling up the leaves, I hit them again during the midday hours. Because the times I haven't, just like here, the leaves will get so dry they don't recover. Yep. All the way up through the plant. Now here again, this is another yellow crookneck squash. It's just got all kinds of male blossoms, but finally, right there, you see her. There is the first young female squash and blossom. Now we had one or two earlier, oh, not last week, but the week before, but they never even matured. They just turned yellow and fell on off. So we're hoping, and now that we're seeing the bumbles out here working, and the ants, we may start seeing some pollination, all on their own. But will we take a chance? Yeah, we got one chance already going. Unless I see more pollinators, I'm going to continue with the hand pollinating. But I have another nice fresh blossom, kissed by the rain. I think I'll partake of this one. Oh yeah. That one was still fresh and tasty. Now, these cucumbers. Ooh, just look at these cucumbers. As they climb to the sky. Yep, they're already reached above that bar, 11 feet tall. And they're continuing to grow, which they'll be descending back down here below. Just like before. Now let me show you something before we talk more. Extremely worried because I hadn't seen many male cucumbers and I hadn't seen any developing. They were just all turning yellow and dying. Well, here's one. And this one here shows some classic examples. Yeah, you notice how small it is on the end? And sometimes they'll curl to a small tip. This is not going to come out of it. This is how it's going to be. And this is from under pollination and heat stress, and can be lack of water. But there's one thing I know for sure. It's not because of lack of water. So my thought is under pollination and heat stress. But it's still a cucumber and we'll still eat it. Let me show you the big surprise I got yesterday that I hadn't seen because mainly I didn't look up. Let me show you. Let's see if you see it first. Ooh, you see it right there? See this one? That is a fine example of a table ready, salad ready, burpless bush cucumber. Yeah, these are supposed to be bush. That cucumber's up over my head, but it's a beauty. Ooh, it is. And to give you some perspective, there's my thumb and index finger spread out as far as I can take them. And that's how long that cucumber is. That's a fine one. I just found it. I think it was the day before yesterday. Woo, you could hear hallelujah all the way across the neighborhood. People already think I'm crazy, as many of y'all do. But look up here. There's another one, but here again, you see the smaller end? Yeah, same situation as we got on this one. And that's all on this here third vine. So that's got me a little bit worrisome too. Under pollination, or is it just this particular cucumber vine? We'll have to see. But now there's getting to be so many more cucumbers up in here, especially as we go higher up in the plants. There's one right up here. Oh, there's more. Let's look down here lower. There's one right there. Another hiding right there. Yeah, further down, just male blossoms. But they're continuing to come around. And this too gets watered every morning, except this morning. And then around noon or 1 o'clock, Central Standard Daylight Savings Time, we give it some water again to get it through that midday. And this bed's nice and damp right now. We just have to see how it progresses through the day. And we're partly cloudy, so that helps out too. But there's one thing about raised beds, and I don't care where you are, but in the deep south, especially through these here times of drought and long periods between rainfall, dry beds will be the first to go dry. And anybody who's gardened with raised beds, if they want to be honest, will tell you there's one thing you're going to do, and that's water them too. Yeah, they're going to dry out first, and they dry out faster. And if you think about it for a minute, you'll see why. It's all about the gravity. I think we all know water will find its lowest level if left on its own. But I'm really shocked. Whew, 3 weeks of this extreme heat. We have tomatoes producing. We have squash producing. And now, of all things, we have cucumbers producing. And you know what? So many out there will say it just couldn't be done. Now I know in different parts of the U.S. and other areas, yeah, this time of year, your gardens are even looking finer than mine. But you're not this far south, and you may or may not be experiencing the extreme temperatures and drought that we have been. But hey, if you still got a garden going in this particular year and this time of year, kudos to you. And like I've said, I salute you as well. Because I know, as you know, it takes an effort to keep it all going and more to keep it producing. And our sort of weird sunflowers that just can't seem to stand up straight are still continuing on. We lost one. It burnt slap up. We've got 3 over here. 2 are squiggling on the ground. I'm not sure they'll make it. But we got one here that's finally decided to stand up, so we'll see. And those are mammoth sunflowers from Burpee. Our lunchbox peppers are still looking fine. Yeah, it's got 1 pepper, 2 pepper, 3 pepper, 4 pepper. You can see the blossoms up in there. Some more right there in that crown. Some more back there. I think we got some peppers developing right there too. Yep. Plenty of blossoms. And there's another pepper right down there as well. But yeah, you can see right here, it's shedding blossoms in this extreme heat. And that's normal. It definitely ain't dry any given day. Let me show you something else. Right there. You see that? Now you might think that was plant roots. Right there. Wouldn't you? Well, you'd be right. Because we're watering. And this is what you don't want to see, but during a drought situation you will, especially if you're watering. Some may say this is, you know, ropes of mycelium. fungi, that great stuff that keeps the soil alive and transfers all these nutrients between the soil themselves and the plant life. But no, these aren't. These are pepper roots, and what's happened is because we've been watering, and we water deep, but see, the plant knows where the water is and where it isn't, and we've been spot watering. So we'll water here within 6 to 12 inches circled diameter, or a little more, and keep that nice and moist. We don't water the entire bed where nothing's growing. And what this pepper has done is put out roots to utilize where the water's at. Now, that's just a fact. It's not the best of conditions. Yeah, because if I stop watering right now, these roots will die. This plant will suffer and may die. All depends on how many roots it's also got that it's shot down deep. But you can only do what you can do. You can't have the best of all worlds. So don't worry about it. The plant's living, it's setting fruit, it's got new growth. It's not the best of conditions, but it's making food. And in the end, that's what it's all about. And I'm sure over here on this sweet banana, I'm sure over here on this sweet banana, which, you know, you can see gets shaded now by the cucumbers, it'll start getting sun now around 12 to the end of the day. But it doesn't have the first blossom on it. It does have some new growth, and I have noted where this is at, and the fact that, yeah, it's being shaded by the cucumber, and that, and of course extreme heat and drought, it really isn't loving life as much. It's still growing, ever so slow. But as long as it's still trying to Cadillac, we're going to keep it alive. Now I do see where it may have a blossom right there, starting to form. So that's what we got going on. Yeah, it's not no big farm, and it's not going to feed old Mr. Tom with everything he needs. Mainly, it's just for fun and to give me some fresh to go with my meals that I enjoy. If you wonder what we're doing, to keep our hoses from heating up in that blazing sun, and then we got to waste water, we cover them up, and this is what I got, cardboard. So I throw it on top to keep the blazing sun off the hose. Then when I need the water, I don't got to waste all that water, because I will tell you this, laying there in that there sun, it will scald you. It will scald your plants, kill your roots, and kill the plants. Just saying. So you got to waste it, or find a way to shade it. And since I don't want to coil it up in the middle of the carport and drag it out every day, this is my solution. Yeah, it don't look the best, but it works. So there you have it. That's our walkabout and weekly update of the garden here on June the 26th, 2022. Hey, let's go check the temperature and see what it's at right now. Yeah, late evening or very early morning, picking more blueberries. Hey, and we're putting them in the freezer too. We'll have them all year long once again. Well, I mean, it could be worse. Here in the shade of the carport, it's saying 88 degrees, 66% humidity already this morning. And as you see, the high humidity is 99%. And of course, the high temperature over the last 24 hours was 99 degrees. And the low this morning was 72. And there you have it. Church is going on. Back behind the place, people are enjoying their Sunday, as I will too. Out here working along with the Kitty Krew. Spooky, you already taking a nap? I mean, come on, bro. It ain't even late yet. It's just late morning. Woo, that concrete's cool, huh? Now I know you're enjoying it. Oh, I may lay down there with you. Well, maybe not. People think maybe I died. So y'all, there you have it. Our weekly update. And yeah, it's 88, 66% humidity. And I'm already starting to sweat. And we just walked around. Of course, now I was holding all of you. So hey, if you can, and if you're able, get on out. Dig in some dirt. Pull some weeds. Water your plants. Do some hand pollinating. Do some tickling and a wiggly. Yeah. Or just listen to the sounds of nature. As I'm sure you've heard my birds. Above my head and behind my back. Until I, Spooky, Mr. Gray, the rest of the Kitty Krew, you know, Cleo, Speedy, Magoo, sometimes Heathcliff, Little Gracie, and Lilybit too. See y'all on the next video. Y'all take care. Stay safe. And God bless you as you bless others. Goodbye for now. Well, I was going to tie up those tomatoes, but it's in that blazing sun. We can wait till the shade gets over it. Later this afternoon. Not nothing we really need to do with this bed. But since this one's in the shade, the cucumber bed, I'll get a piece of bamboo to support that top so they don't bow in, as I weave more of the net to let them climb to the sky. Oh, y'all still around? Well, hey, friends and family, we got to get to work, as you heard me say. So until we see you on the next video, later all, garden on.